Well, last week we brought up 3 trees from Sacramento area up and back up here to the Nevada Desert Homestead. I brought in 2 plum trees and 1 oak tree. My big concern of these trees that they were starting to bloom out. I'll come up, you can actually see the green blooms actually on the trees themselves. So they were going to start budding out and blooming, so I wanted to get them up here so I can get them at least in the ground or up here on the pots. This week what I did, I loaded up another 3 peach trees and dragged them up here. We'll get these unloaded and set these out here, and I'll show you how they did. I had to stand these up because there was no way to lay them down, but they made the trip over the Sierra Nevadas pretty well. I don't see a whole lot of broken branches, but I've got 2 trees here that are ready to bud out, and then I have 1 that's actually starting to put leaves on, so hopefully they'll do good and we'll see how they go. They sure come out of the truck a whole lot easier than they went in it. So the trip over the hill didn't do the trees badly. This one here has blooms on it, and it looks like the leaves are trying to come up. Hopefully I can get them in the ground next week and actually start doing some pruning on them. I've got to cut a lot of the branches that are growing down off so I can get the trees to start growing up more. But those trees set in. Let me show you what I'm doing in the greenhouse. Last week I also brought in a lot of my succulents, my roses, filled the entire pump house area full of plants. I've got my strawberry starts over here under some grow lamps, a lot of my succulents, some of the rose bushes that are growing, my 2 lemon trees that are coming up. I have to get some water on these, make sure these things are gonna spring back out. Some herbs, and just a lot of the stuff we got in here. I got to finish up my greenhouse so we can get all this planted in there, keep them out of the cold. Well, the trees that I planted on the fence line about a month ago, they're still doing good. The rabbits got a little bit of them. The biggest thing, I don't have water here, and I try to water them once, twice a week when my schedule allows it. But I do have issues where the dirt's starting to wash away and some of the roots are showing up onto it. So I'll water these down. The tips are starting to brown a little bit, but I think if I get water on them and stuff, I'm going to probably go get some bricks to where I can put bricks around the base of these trees. Get some kind of straw or some wood chips to get into it just in that area to where they'll stay a little warmer and not freeze too much out here. But this here's an update of the trees. Hopefully by this summer they'll start coming back. They're still green. The tips are just dying off a little bit just because lack of water, I think. So we'll get these all fertilized up and get some actual metal bands around them to make sure the rabbits don't get them. And hopefully my next couple of days off that I'm going to stay up here, I can dig the rest of these and get the rest of the trees in. I'm in the backyard of the house we rent here in the Sacramento area. I finish up this video and get it out. Came back here from Nevada 4 days ago on my time off to load up some more dirt, work on the truck a little bit, and pack up some more stuff from the backyard here to move up to the house in Nevada. Got some good news yesterday. The county just called and said they're ready to issue our building permits, so I'll do a big segment on that of what the plans look like and where the house is going to go, and we can start building that and get videos on this. The big thing about the move is I've got to pack everything up that I have here in the Sacramento area and move it up there. So I'll show you what we're trying to tear apart in the backyard of the house here in Sacramento and move to Nevada. Well, just starting there, if you remember, I got the commercial sink put in the back here, so we'll have to tear that apart and get that moved up there. Panning over, I have raised beds here. All my other plants have been moved. I've got raised beds here. I've got to remove this hoop house and put it next to the other one. I have all these palm trees I'll either probably sell. They won't do good in the high desert. I have 2 boxes of lavender. My turnips went to seed, so I'm going to let them go to seed, flower out, pick those. I have some herbs here. A lot of roses. Some more roses here. As you can see, the trellis that my blackberry bushes that were on, I cut most of those down. We'll be tearing all that down, taking it back up there and resetting it up there. Over here in the patio area, more roses. Our magnolia, that we want to call a tulip tree, is actually blooming out really nicely. So we'll leave this here for a while. I've got a fern in the corner here that used to be my great-grandmother's. That's growing really good, so we'll have to get a spot for that. But we have to pack everything up here and haul this up to the high desert and put it somewhere. So this is a lot about what the move is on. Now that we can actually start building, I wanted to put a question. What would you do to actually build your dream? Have the homestead of your choice. Would you pack everything you had, sell everything, climb in an RV and travel the country for a year to find the perfect place? Would you sell everything you have in Washington and pack your bags to move to a place in Idaho that you can call your own? Would you go somewhere in Tennessee, sell your house, pack everything up, move into a little tiny RV for 2 years, draw a set of plans up, change those plans to build something else, do everything cash? What would your dream be to actually build the homestead that you want? We've been planning this for almost 8 years now. I moved and living in Nevada and working in there for the past 2 months. Finally have our permits. We've owned the property for almost 3 years, owned other properties, so this has been a long plan, and it's going to take another 2 years to probably get the house built before we can do. But then we can totally retire. I can work in the garden. I can do what I want, when I want, how I want it. But you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to give up to make the dreams you want a reality? Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.